I was gonna look at another outstanding Japanese exclusive GBA game this week. I found this really cool Final Fantasy style JRPG. I wonder if any of you can guess what it is. 5 points to Gryffindor if you can. But thing is, once I got playing it and recording footage and so on, I realized there was way more content I wanted to talk about and show you guys, and I just ran out of time, honestly. So we'll push that one back a week so that I can do it justice, and instead revisit the Game Boy Advance's launch titles. So far, we've only checked out 3 of what was a 20+ strong selection of launches, and this one seems fitting, seeing as how we played the torrid Looney Tunes Twouble Game Boy Color game yesterday. Let's see if the franchise can redeem itself. Kemco have taken the reins here, rather than Infogrames, which, based on the Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle games, doesn't necessarily tell you much off the bat. Tweety Bird flaps off into the woods to escape the wrath of pesky puddy tats. Tremendous. After a good while, he gets lost, because birds are famously terrible at navigating. He has to sit down to rest his quote-unquote tired footies, despite the fact that he's been flying this whole time, and leans back on something sturdy to get some kip. Lo and behold, his makeshift snooze zone turns out to be a strange box. Thinking it was some special treasure or something, Tweety greedily opens it, only to get a face full of smoke and magic, turning his footies to stone. When the enchanted queen of the deep dark woods arrives, is the queen enchanted or the woods? Who knows? She frightfully declares that Tweety has opened the box where they keep all the bad forest energy. She enlists the help of several Looney Tunes regulars, including Sylvester, not sure why he'd care, to help her stop the spell and turn back the complete petrification of our little birdie pal. To do that, you'll need to seek out the 5 magical jewels that have been scattered across the world. Choose from one of 6 cartoon characters, Bugs, Daffy, Yosemite Sam, and the rest, and you can play against up to 3 of the others. You'll be shown a world map with the jewels randomly placed in various major cities. The idea is you pick a playing card from the deck and you can move that many spaces across the board, with the aim of getting to each of the 5 cities. Once you've entered a city, there'll be a smaller board within it, featuring some of that city's landmarks, and if you've got the right place, one of the jewels. You don't collect the jewel as such, you just need to pass through the space it's on, and it'll stay there for the other players to reach. The first player to get all 5 jewels is the winner, a slightly strange concept in storyline I suppose, as if they really cared about Tweety's welfare, they could work together, no? Whatever, it's a cartoon, man, stop trying to rationalize it. The routes you need to take to traverse the world are not straightforward. They'll follow all sorts of twisty, meandering paths that mean you'll benefit from looking ahead before you choose your direction. Before picking a card, you can scan the map to plan your route, which is very useful. Many of the dots on the map are white, which don't have any special characteristics, but there are also red ones which, if you land on them as your final space, will take you to a mini-game. In Tweety and the Magic Gems, it's not just the board game bit you need to navigate. There are 16 mini-games in total, and they take place in 2 forms, regular mini-games and a match game. Landing on a red square or a landmark within a city offers all players on the board a chance to earn what are called character points by competing against each other. Some of these are races. It could be the first character to climb a palm tree, get to the end of a path strewn with boulders, successfully launch an air pump rocket above a certain line, that sort of thing. First place will typically get 20 points, 10 for second, 5 for third, and 3 for last. Others might see you having to guess whether a card drawn will be higher or lower than the one on the screen, and the points are divided amongst whoever gets it right. The point of the points is that within the city boards, there'll be a shop. Here, you can exchange whatever points you've accrued for items. These range from 10 character points right through to 100 and perform a multitude of things. Once per turn, before your roll, you can activate any of these items. Some will place obstacles like boulders or snakes on the tile you start from, meaning other characters will have to take turns to pass them. These can be used strategically. If an opponent only needs, say, the purple jewel that's hidden in Cairo, for example, having the genie place a boulder on the most direct path can lead to that opponent having to spend way more turns getting through or around it. Other items might boost your movement, allow you to draw another card if the one you get isn't very good, or force all players to move somewhere they don't want to. The one you really want, however, is the airplane ticket. Note you can't always get it, there are only ever a handful of items in the shop, and there are something like 40 odd items in-game. But if you get this ticket, you'll be able to take a flight from any city where you are to a few other points on the board. you can't just pick a destination, but between the 3 that you have to choose from, the chances are one of them will be closer to a place that holds a gem you need, so can easily save you 5 or more turns. Shops aren't the only place to get items. If you draw a 7, you'll be given a random item. Some other cards can do this as well. You can also randomly find stuff on the map. This might be a beneficial item, but could just as easily be a trap that stalls you, teleports you, or even takes away a jewel from you. This is the most annoying part of the game. You could be on one side of the map going after that final jewel, only to come across a hidden witch that steals the gem you need to be on the other side of the board to obtain. It feels incredibly cheap, it must be said. However, trekking all the way to the cities isn't the only way to get gems. You can engage in the second type of minigame, the match game. By landing on the same tile as another player, you can challenge them to a one-on-one minigame. They're the same events, but only 2 players this time, and there are no character points to earn. The victor will be able to steal a jewel of their choosing from the loser, and so is a viable strategy to get your collection underway. Note that even the challenger can lose gems, and the games you play are completely random, so be careful. You can practice any of the minigames from the main menu if you want, but none of them are that tough. I think we've talked about the game's details enough. Suffice it to say that this was the first instance of a party game on the Game Boy Advance. Presentation-wise, it's a launch title, so you do perhaps need to forgive a certain amount of safety with regards to graphics, sound, and so on. It utilizes the new technology all right. No boats were pushed out here, but if this was your first Advance game, you'd be mildly impressed. The sprites are a bit on the Game Boy Color side of things, as is the music, but everything fits and is functional enough. Kemco perhaps didn't really do enough to impress you here, but that wasn't really their forte, and as I say, that's not really the problem, it's the gameplay itself. Or, indeed, the lack thereof. If you're expecting something along the lines of Mario Party, well, you can see obvious intentions in that direction. Unfortunately, the balance is kinda off here. The biggest drawback, honestly, for Magic Gems is that it's really rather boring. A board game, if you will. You spend way too long on the overworld map and not enough time in the actual mini-games. Seriously, it's like a 90-10 split. Interaction between characters is fairly uncommon. A lot of the time you're just farting about on your own, hoping that some random trap doesn't get you, or that you'll draw a high enough card to make it to the next city. Though the most frustrating thing about it is that this is so clearly designed to be a multiplayer game. That's the only way it comes close to being fun. Especially with it being turn-based, there is no excuse to require multiple consoles and copies of the game for more than one person to play. It would have been such a simple thing to allow same console multiplayer, so the fact that you have to use the link-up features to play with a friend is a very frustrating design choice indeed, dispelling any goodwill you might have had for the game itself. While the GBA definitely needed party games, they were fast becoming very popular, especially on Nintendo consoles. Tweety and the Magic Gems probably isn't it.